471 Ogletree Road. The zoning ordinance requires that lots greater than 40,000 square feet in a conventional subdivision should have a rear setback of no less than 40 feet. The subject property is in the rural zoning district. In the area is NC 50 as well as NC, my eyesight is really bad, I think it's 26, thank you. So the rural zoning district requires a 3-acre lot minimum. The subject property is non-conforming in that sense, and that is, it is just over 2 acres. NC 50 requires a 50,000 square foot lot minimum, and 26 is a 26,000 lot minimum. The aerial view of the property shows significant mature tree growth on the subject property as well as on the adjacent properties. This property has been within the Aldridge family for 80 years. The addition, they wish to construct an addition onto the rear of the home. The property has frontage on both Ogletree Road and Wrights Mill Road. It does front Ogletree Road. So the rear addition would be closest to the property to the north at 2001 Wrights Mill Road. It would still be just over 200 feet from that adjacent structure. A certificate of occupancy was issued for the existing home in 1993. The home currently has a rear setback of 55 feet, which does conform with the 40-foot rear setback requirement. The addition would encroach 11 feet into that setback on the west side. The majority of the addition would be located within the setback, but just over, well, about 260 square feet of the 650 square foot addition would encroach into the setback. If the home were to face towards the west and the same plan was proposed, a variance would not be needed. They would be able to meet that 15-foot side setback as well as the 40-foot rear setback. And variances may be appropriate for properties with exceptional narrowness, shallowness, or shape. So that's just something to consider, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Would the applicant like to speak?
Yes, please. Hi. My name is Adrienne Aldridge. I am the only child of Sandra Aldridge, and I'm the youngest child of Earl and Eleanor Aldridge of Auburn, Alabama. 471 Ogletree Road is not just another address for me. 471 Ogletree Road is the address of my family and my grandparents. It is a staple of the Wrights Mill Road community. It's always sit on the corner. My grandparents raised their family on this land. It included my mother as the youngest of 9 children who grew up there, being at this address. My mother lived here as the youngest child with her siblings, and losing my grandmother, her mother, taking care of her nieces and nephews, and even taking care of my grandfather up until his death at this very address. My cousins of all ages have memories of the 471 address in their own way. And in 1993, as she said, my aunts and uncles made the decision to build a new home house that was more upgraded for the families they still come to, as the old home house had been there for years. My aunt and uncle lived in a home, and my mother moved in permanently when my uncle passed away. As the house is 31 years old, on there or about as of now, and I have the hardship of accommodating my family in the current structure of the home. I would like to finish the work that my mother was trying to finish in maintaining the property and the house as it is as a whole, as a staple of the community, as it sits on the corner. As a house and the property needs upkeep, I moved home to Auburn to take care of my mommy. And as my mommy passed in this very home, I have gained a greater appreciation and affection for the house as I go through the precious pictures, discovering lifelong accomplishments that were left there and trinkets, and uncover the memories as I go through the house as it is left to me now. I'm asking that you aid me as I would like to honor my mommy's wishes and my grandparents' legacy and make the house and the property my own and accommodate my family. In the request, I don't foresee this variance being a hindrance to my neighbors, as there is still a buffer of wooded trees in between us that will still be remaining. I appreciate your time and thank you, and I would greatly appreciate this variance.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions for me?
I do have a question. I'll start by saying, love your story, the personal testament that you have for your family, the history that your family has in this home on this property. And I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
My question though is kind of going to what the city reported. Have you considered the configuration that they proposed that would not require a variance?
Could you go into more detail? I'm sorry. Could you say it again?
That was just, sort of to point out if the home
But they-
originally had been,
Oh, okay,
Right,
I thought
because-
that was an option that we had presented and then, I'm sorry. Okay, so, I'm sorry, I must misheard what that had been reported. I thought that there was another configuration that you could deploy that would not result in a variance. Have you explored every way to build out the home?
Yes, ma'am. In fact, the old remnants of the first home are still there, and that was something that was left as a family wanted to honor the old house. So the old foundation or renderings thereof, the base of the house and the steps and porch are still there remaining. So that's what you see when you pass by on the side of the house, or else it would have been easier, you could have also done that.
Okay, so just to make sure I'm understanding correctly, the thing that is preventing you from coming up with a different configuration or exploring it or executing it is the desire to preserve the old foundation.
Yes.
Okay, and is that just a foundation or does it still have a porch or?
It does. All of that is still there, yes, ma'am.
So it's the
structure.
It's the plan, it's the.
Right, the
original
basis
plan,
of the structure.
Original structure.
And I don't know if he could explain more, but
Okay, that's what I thought, just wanted to make sure.
So what Amber's saying is if that house had been oriented towards Wright's Mill, there would be space going far in the back, like that would not be an issue as it is, the way that, and I mean, when this was built, there was probably none of this around.
exactly.
Yeah, so I think the question I guess for Mike was more, had y'all considered a setup in the addition, I guess on the back, which would be the north side of the house, had y'all considered putting the addition on the east side of the house?
May I answer that question?
Yeah, certainly.
My name is Monty Jones and I'm a friend of the family. The septic tank is on the opposite side, so she did consider, but because that tank is there, it's well, not impossible, but it would
It
require.
would make it more challenging, and if you ever had to replace the septic tank, you would be digging.
Yes.
Also,
And the fill lines and all of that.
and I'll just also make sure you're signing in before you, sorry, I didn't know, but thank you for answering that, you don't have to do it right now, but yes, okay, that makes sense.
And I'll sign in too, we got a whole bunch. My name's Mike Marr, I work for Precision Surveying, and their builder, Fletcher Baldwin, contacted us. There's one other little piece to this puzzle which is unusual. At first he said we need a variance. I said, why do you need it? Because if you look on the Lee County GIS, that property is a great deal larger. As a matter of fact, I went back in the records and found that the tax records have been assigning a 4-acre parcel to this property, which is actually 2 acres. So when Fletcher Baldwin first started looking at the project, he had no idea that he was in a variance issue, because the property, if you look along Wright's Mill Road, was actually 260 feet wide, not 130. So in the process of doing deed research and then the survey, we found out that the city's GIS is correct and the Lee County GIS was incorrect, which was a surprise to everybody because they've been paying taxes on 4 acres of land for like 100 years. And now they just found out that they have half as much land as they thought they did. So, it really did come as a surprise. They'd done all the design work and then found out the property was a great deal smaller than it actually is. So I just wanted to give that little bit of information as
Thank
well.
you.
Well, that's important to
And
know.
that's been validated by both parties, by the county and the city?
Yes, ma'am, and I actually have copies of the survey. Mr. Bird lives, he's sitting right over there, he'll probably talk in the public hearing. We went back to the original deeds, the Mosley property is what bounded it. The description actually says, go along the road to the old Alabama Power Dam, which is Oak Tree Road, and then along Wrights Mill Road to the Mosley property. And then follow the Mosley property, you get back to the road. So it's very
They're just
inspecific.
Immortal, they're gonna live forever. so-
Yes, but the Mosley property is a property that was broken up into 4 parcels. Mr. Bird owns the piece that adjoins there. And we have the old T. Richard Fuller survey from 1991 and then 1978 that shows that's where the property line actually goes.
So there's multiple sources validating.
Oh yes, I've got deeds and plats. And yes, ma'am, and I can provide that to the planning officer if they
I'll
need.
say, I'm also in real estate, I find that a lot, Mary, and Will can probably attest to that. I find that the city GIS is far more accurate than the county on a number of occasions. so.
It is, however, when the builder first came, we were hoping y'all were wrong. But, you know, I said, they can't both be right.
Yeah.
So we found out that the city GIS was correct and Lee County was incorrect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to open, the public hearing. You can speak back there, sir, if that's easier.
I'm Bill Bird, I own the property y'all talking about next to the Aldridge's. I bought the property in 1991, and Richard Fuller surveyed it. I've got the original maps and all, there was 22 acres total for sale, and I bought the partial on the end. And the reason I didn't buy it all was 15% interest rate at the time. I couldn't afford it, and Norman loaned me the money to buy it. But anyway, I've got a map that shows, you know, all of it, and somebody told me it was a subdivision, there's not but 2 houses, only mine and one other one. And they're on the corner, and Richard Aldridge, their brother, or uncle, whoever he is, I don't know, but anyway, he used to visit, and you'll notice on the original survey, there was a power line that went right through their house they built, and they had to move the power line. I've got Phil Clouders who bought 5 acres next to me, and we got out of our power to move the power line to the street. And I've approached, Glennie, well, Richard, I approached him, and he couldn't do anything, cause he said all his daughter's sisters were involved. And anyway, they just, you know, mortgaged it, and they couldn't trade it back, cause I was wanting to maybe give them, swap a piece of Wrights Mill Road for swamp and just a little bit over by, Joe Loveland. Cause I only got 20 foot on that side. I don't know if y'all let me put a road in on 20 foot or not, so. But anyway, I've got right at 7 acres there, and I've been there, built the house in 94, and I've got the power line moved probably in 93 or 94, somewhere in the early 90s. And then Richard died, and Glennie moved in, Glennie Williams, and her granddaughter, I think, was lived with her for a while when she got older, and she was a nurse, I think, in West Point. But nobody lives there now, so never any cars there, so. Anyway, I don't want an easement across my property if I can keep from it, so, on the end. But I would negotiate with them, anything, in fact, don't get them to call me and talk to them. Other than that, that's all I got to say.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Oh, yeah.
I'm legally blind, I can't see this, the sign, I get my son to sign it for me.
That's good, thank you.
You gonna sign it?
Oh, yeah, Bill, it's your first name.
Yeah, will you make it, or-
is there anyone else that would like to speak? So I'll close the public hearing, seeing no further comment, and open the board discussion.
You'd think I would say something.
About like a long skinny, I mean, if it was a long skinny lot, if there's liens,
Yeah, it's, variance can be appropriate by reasonable, exceptional nearness, shallowness, or by shape, by reason of other exceptional topographic conditions. Not to mention, they thought the property was larger than it actually was. That to me is a pretty extenuating, and they've been paying taxes on that additional property that doesn't actually belong to them. So no easement is gonna be created. I did wanna tell you, no easement will be created. I know that was alluded to in the public comments, but, you know, we can't, you don't wanna be building on top of a septic tank, and we all know if you've ever had to deal with a septic tank, more often than not, that's gonna have to be moved at some point, you know, over time, and you have to refill that, so we don't wanna have a structure on top of that. I just don't want to. You don't want any closer, obviously, to Wrightsville Road, at that, you know, because that's the intersection right there.
And it's still not affecting the price.
Correct, lots of mature trees.
Okay, make a motion to approve this item, BZ 2024010.
Second.
Will Faulkner,
Yes.
Charles Rollins,
Yes.
Amy Soros,
Yes.
Letitia Smith,
yes.
Marty Heffernan,
Yes.
Al